Suki lived far away from her family for 15 years. One day when her grandpa was seriously ill, she decided to return to the country. Han Jae-guk received a report. Among the crowd in the airport, they strained their eyes to find a person. Finally, they saw Suki. However, that wasn't the real Suki. The real one was driving a luxury car to the hospital. The butler was taking care of her grandpa. Suki opened the door. Her appearance surprised the butler. She then got out and closed the door. Suki felt so sad when she saw her sick grandpa. She told him that she just returned, and hoped he would wake up to see her. The butler told Lady Yang Seo about Suki's return. At dinner time everyone was so surprised when Suki arrived. She knew herself was an unwanted guest, so that they didn't need to stand on ceremony. Suki took a seat. Her brother greeted her. However, she didn't reply to him. To improve the atmosphere, she introduced new family members to Suki. Suki didn't really care. His brother told her not to be rude. Suki said it was her habit. The boy in front of her looked unfamiliar, so she glanced at her brother. Won-soo made a gesture with the hand to say, no. Suki then cast a look at they seemed not to care about him. There was no other way aside from asking him directly. He was Imo Seo-jin. Suki was so shocked. She kept repeating, what amazing, but Lady Yang Seo wasn't my mother. What a complicated family. Suki shook his hands. Mo Cheol, he returned home. Everyone stood up to welcome him home. Suki still sat there. She even mocked at him. You know how to surprise people, Dad. Since when do I have such a handsome brother? Suki and her mother had lived a tough life there. They sent her abroad for 15 years. Only her grandpa treated them well, while the others really hated them. Suki returned this time to take care of her grandpa and found the truth about her mother's death. As the atmosphere was so strained that Won-soo recommended everyone to have a toast, his father's gaze scared him. Suki snatched the bottle of wine and drank it. She wished she would have more mothers. Her father expressed his anger. He asked why she returned to the country. Suki believed that she could return whatever she wanted, no need for a reason. Cheol, he went mad. Suki didn't yield at all. Smacking her hand onto the table, Suki reminded him that she was no longer a kid, and claimed she was the only who was qualified staying in the residence. Is that right, stepmother? The dinner ended without fun. The next day, Suki went to buy hanbok. At the store, she heard someone talked about her family. Slowly checked it out. She learned that was a celeb named Nari. The celeb was making difficulties for the salesperson. Claiming herself a VIP, she would do whatever she wanted. She meant not to stop her from doing what she wanted. Couldn't stand it. Suki spoke up. Nari didn't know who she was. She said, get lost. Suki just wanted to give an advice. Yet, Nari became so rude. For this reason, Suki decided to give her a lesson. She didn't hold back at all because the game had just officially started. Are you filming a costume drama? Why are you screaming at people? Due to her long skirt, Nari stumbled and fell. Nari threw her heel at Suki. Suki avoided her throw and kicked her heel away. Nari followed her to the first floor. She wasn't not Suki's rival. Suki kept playing around with her. The passers-by were watching them through the glass wall. They even filmed it. Nari hatched it out. When Suki was distracted, she was about to hit below the belt. Suki easily overpowered her. Do you know who I am? Then she knocked Suki's hand away. There were 3 cars arrived at the store. Han Jae-guk was coming. Her guards requested those who were taking photos of them to get into the store. Nari thought Han was coming to help her. She asked Han to catch Suki. Suki didn't get what was going on. Han quickly introduced Suki to Nari. Nari was shocked. That was why Han came to help her. Suki smelled something and asked Han, who is she to Won-soo, or Won-jun? Is she my father's mistress? Suki then made fun of Nari. Of all the gall, even a primary school student has her own self-respect, but you don't. Nari didn't dare to talk back to Suki. In the end, she could only cry. In the other room, Han picked up a pile of checks. She used money to demand all of them to delete the videos. Everyone there happily signed their name on the commitment. Yoon-do was an exception. He confirmed that he didn't take any photo. Besides, he was a big fan of Nari, so he promised not to tell anyone about it. Next, he received a phone call and left the store. The homeowner was calling him. He was so sick at heart when the house price rose. Suki heard it by chance. She asked why Yoon-do didn't receive Han's payment though he was in need of money. He was affirmative that he only did legal business. Suki found him quite interesting. She gave him her phone number, asked he to work for her and promised to pay him a lot. Yoon-do felt like she was offending him. He left in anger. Along the way home, he felt very sad. Seeing his father still working late at night, he blamed himself. Yoon-do asked his father to retire. Jang-soo didn't want to. He asked Yoon-do if he had any difficulties at work. Yoon-do silently bowed his head. Jang-soo had been running his restaurant for so many years, and he had many loyal customers, so he didn't want to quit his job. Moreover, he didn't believe that Yoon-do would be successful. What he said made Yoon-do feel really sorry. He couldn't sleep at night. Yoon-do thought of Sooki's offer. His self-respect didn't allow him to call her. However, Sooki called him first. "Hey, why don't you call me? See you tomorrow." They met up with each other in a restaurant the following day. Sooki asked for his help to investigate a case. Yoon-do said he wouldn't go on errands. Just a moment later, he was shocked with the payment. Self-respect seemed to be nothing compared to a huge amount of money. After that, he asked his friend for more information. At night, he reported it to Sooki. The owner of the phone number she gave him passed away. The only thing that could be found was where he sent the message. Sooki was surprised at the address, where was near her home. At this time, Han also heard about such a phone number. She told her assistant not to be hurried. "Let's just investigate it secretly." The next day, when Yoon-do was having breakfast, he was invited to MC Group for a job interview. His father encouraged him. Yoon-do didn't graduate from top university. However, he was going to have a job interview at a top enterprise. The senior managers were speechless when they read his profile. Some people even raised doubts about the interview. None of them dared to oppose when Han told the reason why. Sooki entered the meeting room, saying that their way of recruitment was out of date. She laughed at Han's ability to read people. As soon as she finished her words, the alarm rang. Everyone left the meeting room to check it out. A middle-aged man wanted to leap off the building. Her daughter worked for MC Group, but she died in an accident last year. He asked for a compensation after an accident at work. His application was rejected. The leader of the legal team said that man's behavior was presumed to trespass, and he might receive severe penalties. Kyung-ah also came to report that she had handled the media. They stopped the scandal spread wide within only 10 minutes. After having the man's profile, Han climbed to the rooftop. She promised to drop it if he quit his intention of leaping off. Then she pretended to be sympathetic to him. "I know that you're very sad. You still have a son. If he lose both of his father and sister, how can he live at such a young age?" The man was swayed. Han convinced him that MC Group would pay for his son's tuition fee. Finally, he was persuaded. As soon as he stepped down, the guards controlled him. Yoon-do and Sooki was very angry. They didn't know how to help him out, seeing him struggling with the guards. Sooki couldn't control her anger. She snatched a bread of a staff. She threw it away after just a bite. When the others didn't pay attention, she drove the car away. Yoon-do sweated when she acted like that. Sooki crashed the blue van. When she got out of the car, she told the owner that she had a lot of money. If he asked for a compensation, she would pay him 100 million. She urged him to make it quick as she had another fish to fry. After that, they came to the police station. Sooki named out of her violations. She even asked her lawyer to list more. The police officer was confused. For the last 35 years at work, she was the first one to list her violations out. She even insisted on paying for a compensation of 1 billion won. The man received the money after just a few seconds. At that time, Sooki continued, "That's everything that I can help." She hoped it would be helpful for him. She just wanted to give him back part of justice, as she had no rights in the company. That was the only way she could do, and it was practical enough. Han asked Yoon-do about his thoughts of what happened earlier. Yoon-do was pretty worried. He didn't expect to cause the company a loss of 1 billion won on the first day at work, so that he wouldn't have a chance to be accepted. However, Han decided to accept him after all. She gave him a contract. At first, he thought that this would definitely be a slavery contract. As soon as he saw his salary, he signed without thinking. Han then gave him devices for work in 3 small suitcases. The first one was full of cash. This was for handling simple tasks. The others were full of cash with higher value for urgent situations. He was rather afraid of it. Aside from these, he received a car, a condo, and a luxury suit. Sooki came to the hospital. When she arrived, she met her grandpa's personal lawyer. The lawyer said her grandpa wanted to inherit his legacy. He hoped she would be entitled to management of the group. Sooki nodded her head when the lawyer asked her to be careful. When she had breakfast as usual, she saw the maids pushing a service cart and asked what those food were. They said that was Picasso's meal. She followed them to see who Picasso was. That was just a goldfish. It wasn't just a normal fish. It was young Seo's pet. The maid was serving breakfast to the fish. The breakfast was served on high-end kitchen utensils. Sooki said, "That's gross." A maid hushed her, because Picasso was very sensitive. She should keep her voice down. Sooki couldn't believe it. Young Seo treated a fish much better than people. On this side, 8 maids prepared 7 sets on the dining table. When all the family members sat down, the maids began to serve. At this time, Chairman Mo slowly came to the dining room. Everyone stood up to welcome him. Suki still sat there with a yawn. She said she wanted to have beefsteak. Everyone was surprised. Then she said it was nothing, but everyone was surprised, and I wasn't either, because she didn't them to turn Picasso. Yang Seo was very angry when she dared mention her pet. It was a tense atmosphere. After dinner, Chairman Mo asked Suki for a talk. He asked about her interest in managing a company. Although she said she had no interest, however, her family didn't buy into it. Chairman Mo gave her two choices: get married or return to America. She knew it was how Chairman Mo to inhibit her, but she had no choice but to agree. After that, she dug into the guy whom her father wanted to marry her to. He was son of prosecutor Ju. Suki remembered 15 years ago, he was in charge of her mother's case. However, he dropped it. Suki and his son met each other at a fancy restaurant. She humiliated him as soon as he opened his mouth. A sow is no match for a goose. That made Ju Taehyung angry. Suki kept saying, have you no shame? Your family wasn't rich, like father like son. I'm telling you, Ju replied. Don't know what a prosecutor had to do. Ju Taehyung decided to give her a lesson. Suki went to a memorial park where kept her mother's ashes. When she left there, a group of prosecutors came. Forced inspection. They immediately arrested her. It was Ju Taehyung who interrogated her. He would let her go as soon as she said sorry to him, or else he would put her in jail. Suki wasn't scared at all. She wanted to be in jail. Moreover, she even challenged him to dig into MC Group in exchange for her apology. She confidently announced that he couldn't mess with MC Group because he didn't have the courage. As a result, she got what she wanted. Ju Taehyung really dug into MC Group after she hurt his pride. However, Han quickly coped with his sudden investigation. They tried to tone down his anger. They could even satisfy the prosecutor's doubts and put Suki in jail at the same time. Meanwhile, in the jail, Suki went to a cell. She was disappointed with the living environment and her inmates. Still, she announced herself as the one who ordered the other three what to do. All of them didn't agree. Suki scared them with her scream. As that was Suki, the prison guard walked away without care. That was how she became the boss. The meals were very frugal. Refusing to eat, she kept pounding away at the door. While later, a hearty meal was served: pizza, fried chicken, and pork. She even had a roast suckling pig. When her inmates kept looking at her, Suki invited them fried chicken. While the others had to work hard, Suki was allowed to have a rest. One of her inmates felt uneasy as she had eaten too much, so she needed a rest. A big sister gave her a kick when she was about to take a seat. Suki couldn't stand it. She gave the big sister a kick, and even had her by the throat to make her yield and say sorry. Also, Suki warned her not to fight back. The big sister nodded her head, but when Suki turned her back, the big sister gave her a kick back. Suki almost fell to the ground. Consequently, Suki gave her a good beating, and pressed her against the fence. The prison warden stopped them. Yoon-do found an important clue. He asked Taehyung to release her or he would publish the evidence of his violation. To protect his perfect image as an elite prosecutor, he had no choice but agreed. Suki gave Yoon-do a surprise when she was freed from jail. Where do you want to go? It's best to go back to the hotel. I am in hurry. Hurry up. Suki drove like she was under the influence. When she arrived at the hotel, she hastily got in. The hotel manager gave her a key card. She just had a shower there and left, because she couldn't have a bath since she was brought to the jail, and she found it very dirty. Han Jae-guk knew Suki got out of jail. She let Chairman Mo know about it, because he was the current chairman of the group. To make sure of his position, she asked him to announce his position on the death anniversary of his mother in front of everyone who attended. The following day, the anniversary occurred. Female members in the family put on hanbok and the men wore suits. Only Suki didn't really care. Mo Cheol-hee asked Suki to mind her behavior in front of the whole clan. When the meal was served, something unexpected happened. The butler carried Suki's grandpa there. Mo Cheol-hee was amazed at his father's appearance. The lawyer then proclaimed the will. I am Mo Wangpyo. I choose Mo Suki as my successor to my assets and company. In case my niece dies of an accident, all my assets will be donated to charity. Her grandpa was very thoughtful. No one dared to harm her life. But everything was not as simple as imagined. Even though Suki's father supported her, she couldn't look down on Mo Cheol-hee's holdings. He wouldn't give it up to her easily. She had to persuade the board of directors first. Anything could happen before the meeting. Han Jae-guk came to the meeting room for a plan against Suki. First, she asked the head of the legal team to collect evidences of her violations, and persuaded small shareholders to oppose against Suki. They also tried to find her weaknesses. Han's assistants got things done. As expected, the meeting was held a few days later. Suki wasn't present there yet, when everyone couldn't wait for her anymore. A hot news was released, which caused a chaos there. It was Han who did it. She found a very interesting news about Sookie. Did you drink alcohol? Sookie didn't drink at all, yet she still failed a breathalyzer. Sookie didn't want to explain. No matter what she said, they wouldn't believe her. She asked for a blood test. Sookie had a strange disease which made her fail a breathalyzer once she ate something with carbs. Han knew about it, so she ordered someone to add carbs into Sookie's juice, then waited for Sookie to drive. When the shareholders heard that Sookie was caught for driving under the influence, all of them opposed against her. As a result, Sookie was removed from office. Mo Cheol-hee succeeded the position. It was too late when Mo Wangpyo knew. There was still an opportunity to solve it. He immediately found another way. After that, he asked his son to step down in person. Cheol-hee said it was the decision of the board of directors, so he should respect him. If you dare to play around one more time, I won't be easy on you anymore. This place is still my home. Mo Cheol-hee got furious. He told Han Jae-gook what happened earlier. The only way to win was to take all the remaining chips. Mo Cheol-hee made a decision. It's normal when the old folk dies of their age. Han Jae-gook got what he meant. She stood up and walked away. At night, Mo Wangpyo summoned an urgent BOD meeting. Danger was coming when Wangpyo thought he could handle it. A maid coated his beefsteak with sauce. The almond powder in the sauce does not cause any harm to normal people, but it was really harmful to the old folk. It would increase the pressure on his heart. Han Jae-gook gave him a call. He was too angry to die when she said something. Mo Cheol-hee wanted to organize special rituals for his father. Han Jae-gook stopped him. As Mo Cheol-hee just took the office, the share price would decrease if his father's death was announced at that time. She suggested a quiet funeral to keep the share price. Mo Cheol-hee was unable to say no. That was everything. The funeral of MC Group's founder took place in a short time. What should Sookie do when her grandpa was gone? The violist stood on the ice cubes and played music for 5 million won. Yang Seo didn't care when the violist's feet turned red. The room was filled with violin sound. Yang Seo enjoyed music and wine. Sookie walked in, seeing the ice-cold feet of the violist. Sookie asked after her, "What are you doing? Get off it, right now." The violist stopped playing and got off it. Sookie asked she was okay. As the violist only finished half of the song, Yang Seo kicked her out without paying. The violist stared at Sookie with anger, then dragged herself out with her ice-cold feet. Yang Seo gave Sookie a scold. Because of her, the violist wasn't paid. Yang Seo reckoned that Sookie didn't know how to enjoy art. Sookie angrily said that was like a torture. She wondered why Yang Seo was so cruel. Perhaps she wasn't a human. When Yang Seo turned and walked away, Sookie asked how much she needed to leave her house. 5 or 10. Yang Seo gave Sookie a slap. Sookie shoved her to the ground. When she was going to slap Sookie again, Yang Seo wailed out loud. Mo Cheol-hee followed her scream there. Catching a glimpse of him, she cried out loud, "I can't live anymore." Cheol-hee asked his guards to take Sookie to his office. He asked her to apologize her stepmother. Sookie didn't want to apologize to her. Mo Cheol got very mad. He wished she wouldn't have been born. Sookie couldn't believe that he would say such a thing, thinking of her late grandpa and mother. She decided to do something. The next day, her father required her to see him in his office, and forced her to transfer everything she inherited to him. Sookie threw the agreement on the table. What Han said brought her back to earth. Sookie calmly asked why her grandpa was gone, and she only gave it up once she knew the truth. Han Jae-gook didn't admit her crime. Sookie asked them for a time to think. Han asked a guard to get in, ordering him to take Sookie's phone. Sookie did record their conversation. Han Jae-gook threw Sookie's phone in the mug of coffee. Sookie had to enter the agreement. Before leaving, Sookie dropped the chewing gum somewhere. She could never imagine that a second family funeral would be held due to her action. Yang Seo was crying. Han Jae-gook received an order and gathered everyone together to see Picasso for the last time. An unheard-of funeral would be held. The whole team came to the residence to discuss the list of the guests. What about the director of the National Gallery of Art? He was currently abroad and there were only late flights back to the country. Pick him up with a private jet. The new Minister of Home Affairs would also come. Everything would be well prepared. What about the feast? MC Group's chefs would be in charge. Yet, Han Jae-gook wanted to hire the best chefs for the pet's funeral. The funeral officially began. Many high-ranking officials and businessmen attended. They lined up on both sides of the pool. The pastor was praising the victorious life of Picasso. The reason why MC Group could got through so many crises was thanks to Picasso's loyal protection, regardless of joy and sadness, loneliness and pain. Picasso was quietly observing. Lawyer Hio, are you confident to say that you can be more outstanding than Picasso? Probably not, because none of high-ranking officials will attend my funeral. Picasso is truly amazing, Suki thought of her grandpa when she saw all of this. They organized just a small funeral for her grandpa, but they gave a shabby one for their fish. That really irritated her. When the parson finished the funeral oration, everyone took their turns to drop a flower to Picasso. Suki walked there in a red dress, confidently strode towards the crowd. She bid a farewell to Picasso. Goodbye, fish. She threw a rose at the pool and left. Suki even clapped their hands. She laughed at this funeral. They didn't know that it was Suki who caused the death of Picasso. During the funeral of her father's death, she threw chewing gum into the fish tank. That was why Picasso was gone. Returning to her room, she cried so hard, holding a recording device on her hand. She swore to revenge for her beloveds. Mo Cheol he asked his second son, Mo Wonjun, for a talk. He asked him to prepare it carefully. The next day, he went to see Han, asking her to make his second son the only chairman of the group. Though Han said everything was going well, Cheol he urged her to make it quick. Han Jae-guk knew Cheol he well. Am I that powerful? Han Jae-guk still tried so hard, because she worked for MC Group, not the Mo family. This was her belief, dream and ambition. She was determined to do anything good for MC Group. The head of the legal team said it was difficult to make it quick, and the tax value was too high. Most importantly, the internal shares were extremely complex. Han Jae-guk came up with an idea. First of all, found a way to deal with inheritance law. Yoon-do told Suki all about her plan. Good people always win. It was time for them to get the cheese. Suki carefully made a plan. Nari said a Mo family member would come to find her soon, after taking back the shares of her and her son. Both of them would be kicked out of the home. Also reminded her not to enter an agreement. Afterwards, team leader Lee went to see Nari. Mo family wanted to barter her shares for land lots. Nari refused. She demanded 30% of the equity. The negotiation failed. Suki went to see her elder sister-in-law, who married her elder brother not for love. Soo-jin always wanted to divorce him. Suki gave Soo-jin an advice that she should wait until Won-jun became an heir. By that, she would get more money from the divorce. Soo-jin didn't get it at first, but when Yoon came to see her with a petition for divorce, she remembered Suki's advice and then firmly refused. Soo-jin even confirmed her happy life. Yoon felt so confused, because he was so sure that they would agree. After that, Suki talked to her eldest brother. As he was the eldest son, he should be the heir. So that he needed the best lawyer. Won-soo felt touched by that. Won-soo refused to transfer his shares to Won-jun. Moreover, he even found a way to take the money that Won-jun used for the exchange. When the plan completely failed, she knew that was Suki. At that time, Won-soo took a lawyer to see her. He was against Han Jae-guk. However, after a call from Han Jae-guk, the lawyer dropped it. Won-soo had to yield, and he asked for a black card. Han Jae-guk agreed without thinking. Won-soo happily took it and left. When everything wasn't going the way she wanted, Han Jae-guk would persuade them by herself. First, she came to find Nari. She threatened to spread a rumor of Narim, demanding her to transfer the shares. Nari didn't obey. Her son's father wouldn't let it go once she was involved in a scandal. Her attitude drove Han up to the wall. She told her team to create a scandal, which told everyone that Nari had a 10-year-old son. It was on the hot search. As soon as it was launched, Han grabbed the chance for her team to mention an actor to father Nari's son. It was for taking back Seo-jin's shares. Nari went so see her in deep dudgeon. She would hold a press conference to reveal her son's father. Han already prepared for it. She counterfeited the DNA test result. Nari angrily shouted at Han's face. Han Jae-guk was so sure that she would send Nari in jail for slander. Nari helplessly screamed. She then begged Han for mercy, but it was too late. During dinner, Cheol-hee asked Seo-jin to go study abroad. Seo-jin was so surprised. He didn't want to leave. Seo-jin was in the same as Suki 15 years ago. She told her father to be too cowardly. How can you be that cruel to your son? Didn't reply to her. Mo Cheol-hee just said, meat tastes good today. Suki still continued. Mo Cheol-hee banged his fist on the table. Suki didn't give up. What are you living for? I live for MC Group. Suki laughed at him. What a bad dinner ever. Han Jae-guk thought that was done unexpectedly. Suki revealed it by herself that her father also fathered Nari's son. She believed that Nari shouldn't suffer it all alone. Han Jae-guk was a little bit panicked. After that, she swiftly ordered her team to stop the news from spreading wide, contact all the media to block this. The following day, in front of everyone, Mo Won-soo appeared and declared to be Seo-jin's father. That was a masterpiece of Han Jae-guk. She gave Won-soo 30% of shares. In return, he had to declare himself Seo-jin's father. Seo-ji was stunned when he heard the news. He wanted to know who really was his father. Cheol-hee said it was him. Suki wondered if Cheol-hee was really her father. Everyone was going as planned. Soo-ji finally agreed to divorce. The only problem left was the inheritance law. Yoon-do reported about his work. They tried to find the weak points of the officials. Mo Cheol-hee invited them to his home party. First, he scared them. Second, he gave them each a luxury car. Finally successfully solved the problem. They spent only 10 billion to save 1,000 billion. Mo Cheol-hee was very satisfied with that. He decided to throw a party at his home. As soon as they made a toast, Suki brought them a surprise. "Hello, I'd like to introduce our new family member, my third mother. Good evening." The stepmother flew into a rage. Wonjun was confused, Soo-jin found it interesting, and Wonsu was stunned, while Seo-jin was very happy. Mo Cheol-hee asked to talk to Nari at his office. He asked her to leave, yet, Nari knelt down and begged him to let her stay. After all, he agreed with her. In a very good mood, Nari gently called her Nuna. Young Seo was provoked. Suki then gave Nari her stepmother's schedule. That was a welcoming gift which Suki prepared for her new family member. Nari understood that. Early the next morning, Nari came to Cheol-hee's bedroom. Young Seo rolled her eyes and asked Nari what she was doing. Nari asked why she cared when they didn't share a bedroom. Young Seo almost swooned away. At that time, Mo Cheol-hee walked out of his bedroom. Young Seo felt so inhibited. Mo Cheol-hee didn't care, he just left home. Suki saw everything. That was just the beginning. Nari put on a sexy dress and had breakfast with everyone. Young Seo said Nari was so profligate. Nari didn't yield. She believed that Young Seo was just envy of her body. Young Seo stared at her husband. Mo Cheol-hee only praised the good breakfast. Nari acted like his sweet little woman. She knew Mo Cheol-hee loved traditional Korean food, so she promised to cook a meal for him tomorrow. Mo Cheol-hee felt happy for that. Young Seo's face turned red with fury. When Mo Cheol-hee left, Nari provoked her again, couldn't stand it anymore. Young Seo poured water over Nari's head, then she arrogantly left. Nari seemed very fine, because it was a plan of her and Suki. On the anniversary of Young Seo and Cheol-hee, the music was turned off when she was happily singing. It was Nari who turned it down. She reminded Nari that she was his wife, and warned her not to be haughty. Nari had nothing to lose, so she wasn't scared. She got angry and told Nari got mad and gave Young Seo a slap. She said Young Seo should use insect repellent. When Nari left, Suki asked Young Seo if that was familiar. Young Seo asked her out. Han Jae-guk ordered her team to dig into the relationship between Won-soo and Nana. His reaction was a bit unusual to her appearance. It turned out that they knew each other before Nari became famous. Thanks to a mutual friend, they met each other. When she knew that a child born out of wedlock wouldn't be an heir, that was why Nari dumped him. In the end, she decided to win the heart of Mo Cheol-hee. Han Jae-guk showed them the evidences of their history, then asked Nari to go abroad as soon as possible, and forced Won-soo to give up on 30% of shares. Won-soo had no choice but to give it up. Suki didn't know what to do. She sighed with disappointment. Soon after that, Suki learned about Wonjun's secret. Looking at his high-end items, he smiled with satisfaction. He then put on women's clothing. Mo Wonjun was the second son of the chairman of a top company. In people's eyes, he had a happy family. To his parents, he was humble and thoughtful, a perfect heir of the family. However, he had a huge secret. The plan to take back the shares of his wife was done. They forced her to divorce him by the evidences of her affair with another man. Everything was going the way they want. Suji returned to her room with anger. Suki comforted her. Suji told her that she and her husband didn't share a bedroom for 6 years. They had never made love together. Suki felt something wrong. She decided to dig more into it. Suki saw Suji off the following morning. She advised Suji to fight back instead of she can have infamous conduct to those despicable people. Suji showed a pensive expression. After that, she gave Han the documents that she prepared, a proof that she was still a virgin, although this did not affect the outcome of the divorce. Once the rumor spread, it wouldn't be good for their heir. Han asked what she wanted. She only asked for her parents' retirement pension and tuition fee for her sister. Han had no choice but to agree. This affair raised her doubts. It seemed that Wonjun lied to her about his marital life, so she asked him why he lied to her. Because his wife was proved a virgin. He wanted to know what she meant. "Do you love boys?" Wonjun couldn't deny it when she showed him the evidences of it. She knew he cross-dressed. Meanwhile, Suki was coming to his space, and she found something much more interesting. Her brother was gay. Suki took photos of his dressing table and waited for the right time to reveal it, which was coming soon. On Young Seo's birthday, she received many birthday gifts and wished from many people. However, An anonymous letter attracted the whole family member's attraction. Yang Seo snatched the envelope from the maid. When she saw the photos inside, she wanted to hide them away. Mo Cheol he didn't let her. He wanted to see them. Mo Cheol he didn't realize yet, so he even asked everyone what those photos were. Won Jun looked so worried. Won Soo and Suki looked at each other and smiled. Seeing everyone's strange reaction, he looked at those again. He almost went crazy. Cheol he looked at Won Jun with suspicion. However, Won Jun didn't say a word. Mo Cheol he asked Won Jun for an explanation. Couldn't hide it anymore. Won Jun accepted it. Actually, he was also a miserable child. He had never lived for himself, for his mother's ambition. He had always lived like a knight. He himself hated horse, yet, he learned how to back ride a horse as his father wanted. None of them asked if he liked those. Uneased to hear it, Mo Cheol he asked him out. He required Han to disinherit his second son. Han Jae-guk believed that Won Jun was the best heir who could lead the company well. He promised not to let it on. With his conservative mind, Cheol he couldn't accept it. Cheol he wanted Won Soo to be an heir. Han said Won Soo's impetuous temperament would cause danger to the corp. He was incapable of making decision and taking responsible for the lives of countless employees. Still, Mo Cheol he still finally, they separated. For the sake of the company, Han decided to support Won Jun, whom she believed was the best heir. Won Soo interrupted their meeting, even though they turned it off quickly. He already read the content. Han asked for a private talk with him. Won Soo said his father wanted him to be the successor. Won Soo hoped she would support him. However, Han Jae-guk was on Won Soo's side. She asked him to do what she told. After that, he called Suki. Suki urged him to see his father. He told Cheol he that Han Jae-guk only supported Won Jun, trying to make Cheol he skeptical about Han. In the end, he decided to fire Han. The police officers were arresting Han, but she was still very calm. She stood up and ordered her team to find a solution. Her assistant obeyed. She then got into the police car. Yang Seo was very surprised when Han was arrested. She looked at her husband with suspicion. Mo Cheol he asked team leader Jean to come instead of giving her an answer. When Jean arrived, Cheol he asked him to found a new team instead of getting Han out of jail. Jean was ordered to make a detailed plan. Jean was so surprised, but he didn't dare to ask. Mo Cheol he was satisfied when Jean left there. That was his plan, because he and Prosecutor Ju were trying to defeat Han. Everything was running smoothly. Jean didn't obey Mo Cheol he's at all. He still tried to bail Han out. In the interrogation room, Han sat there calmly. The person in charge of her case was Ju Taehyung. She repudiated all the charges. At that time, Jean opened the door. He asked for a private talk with Han. Jean reported everything to her. She gave him a detailed plan for that. Before leaving, Jean bowed his head and left. Not long after, Prosecutor Ju told Taehyung to release Han. Taehyung had to release her under request. Finally, Han was released. Her return was the nightmare of some people. The next day, Ju's scandal spread nationwide. The whole country criticized him. Due to the public pressure, Ju resigned from office. It wasn't enough to Han. She also made Ju's son step down. For his son's sake, Ju decided to take his life. When Cheol he heard about Ju's death, Mo Cheol he was very scared. He posed a question to Han. "You only support Won Jun?" Han confirmed it. She even didn't let him finish his words. By leaving his office, what should Mo Cheol he do? Before he could do something, she went back to see him. Han Jae-guk heard a shocking secret from Mo Wonpyo's butler. Suki was actually Wonpyo's daughter. Jae-guk asked Cheol he if Suki was actually his sister. Mo Cheol he couldn't believe it. He thought she was crazy. Cheol he couldn't stand firm on his feet when he saw the evidences. Reading the DNA test result given by Jae-guk, Cheol he remembered his father's wink. He was too shocked to faint. The butler then told Suki about her true identity. Suki was really astounded when her grandpa was actually her father. Strolling along the streets, she wondered how her mother had a relationship with her grandpa. So that she was determined to find the truth. Pulling herself together, she asked Yoon-do what she should do. As she was Mo Wonpyo's daughter, she had the right of succession. As long as she registered her inheritance as the late president's daughter, she would receive approval at that time. Butler Young came to tell Suki the DNA test result disappeared. She was sure that Han took it away. Suki got it. It turned out that Han only let Suki know about her true identity, in order to make her felt helpless. Suki didn't get scared. She came straight to see Han and declared war against Han. Suki joined dinner. She took a seat, and told everyone that she was Wonpyo's daughter. They thought she was crazy. Young Yoonja claimed it was true that Suki was the daughter of the late president. Everyone was dumbfounded. Her brothers were actually her nephews. The stepmother was actually her sister-in-law. What a plot twist. Sookie asked them to change their way of addressing each other, because she was the official heir of the Mo family. Sookie called Yang Seo sister-in-law. Yang Seo said it was enough. Nephew, why are you so rude? You don't respect your aunt. I know you're smart. Get used to this. Everyone went to see Han. They had different reactions when Han showed them the evidences. Wansu burst out laughing. Yang Seo was silent. Wanjun asked Han for a solution. She told them not to worry as Sookie didn't have solid evidences to claim her identity, because she was keeping the DNA test result. Do you handle it? She doesn't have evidences. She couldn't mess up with Wanjun's installation. Wanjun sighed with relief. After that, Han had a meeting with her team. She wanted to transfer the shares to Wanjun, making him the biggest shareholders of the corp. On the day of BOD meeting, the directors voted for Wansu. In the last minutes, Sookie appeared with an old woman. Yoondu took her to the stage. He showed everyone the DNA test result, proving that Sookie was a daughter of Mo Wanpyo. 30 years ago, Wanpyo gave the old woman the DNA test in case of necessity. Once they knew Sookie was the late president's daughter, the directors were so confused. However, she kept only 25% of the shares. That wasn't enough to take the office. The old woman she took there raised her voice to transfer her shares to Sookie. The table was turned. Sookie got enough shares to be the biggest shareholder. How would she revenge? Early in the next morning, Sookie went to the dining room. When everyone gathered around, Yoondu talked about 2 charges. At that point in time, they heard the police siren. Sookie called the police. First, Yang Seo was arrested for maltreating her staff. Wanjun was accused for tax evasion. Wansu was safe. Without saying thank you, he told Sookie and Yoondu that he had prepared a gift for them. It was also the answer they wanted. Wansu accidentally took the life of Sookie 15 years ago. Yang Seo felt so bad. She always blamed Wansu to be so helpless, so she could only depend on Wanjun. To prove himself, Wansu went to see Sookie's mother. He begged her to leave Mo Cheol-hee. However, she mercilessly refused him. Sookie's father looked at her painting. She said she was just a loser. However, her words hurt his self-esteem, because her mother always said he was a failure. He lost his mind. When he calmed down, Sookie's mother lost her breath. He had lived with guilt for many years. After all, he chose to end his own life. After Han Jae-gook destroyed all the evidences, she appeared in front of everyone when they thought she was running away. Running wasn't her type, and she would never regret about her choice. Facing Taehyung, she was so sure that he couldn't accuse her. Taehyung changed his facial expression. Han Jae-gook continued. She only tuned herself in as long as MC Group was safe. During the court, she admitted her crimes. She was eventually sentenced to 4 years in prison. Everything was like a mess. We all know who won this game. Thanks to her confession, Yoondu's mother was claimed innocence. Sookie invited her friends to a home party. In prison, Wanjun teared up receiving the gift that Wansu left for him. Yang Seo also received a gift from her eldest son. It was a portrait of her. She burst out crying. The end. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you again next time. It's the end of the series. Thanks for watching. Goodbye and see you next time.